Dear learners, we are now approached towards the end of this course. In today's lecture, I will discuss about methods of plant propagation. Plant propagation is the process of artificially or naturally propagating plants. It is the art and science of multiplying plants by sexual or asexual means. There are mainly two types of plant propagation methods. Sexual propagation, it involves the exchange of genetic material between parents to produce a new generation, and this method is propagated by seeds. And asexual propagation, it does not involve exchange of genetic material, so it almost always produce plants that are identical to single parent, and it can be done by cuttings, layering, grafting and specialized structure. The last one is the micro propagation. Now starts with the sexual propagation. Propagation by seeds is the major method by which plants reproduce in nature and one of the most efficient and widely used propagation methods for cultivated crops. A seedlings may not be an exact replica of the parent as a result of natural cross-fertilization or segregation of characters. Rising of plants through seeds is necessary to obtain new plants or hybrids. Seeds propagated plants have long juvenile phase and takes more time to come into bearing of flowers. Propagation by seeds involves the union of pollen and egg leading to seed formation. So, it can also be called seed propagation. It's an old, easy, simple and effective techniques for ornamentals or flowering plants, vegetables, fruits and medicinal plants. It allows for genetic diversity in plant species and creates new varieties and cultivars of plants. Also, seed can be stored for long period of time. Here in this image, we can see the vegetable, seeds propagated plants and annual flowers which are propagated by seeds. In this, we can see the steps of sexual propagation which involves first sowing of seeds. As we can say here in this image, seeds are sowing in this particular boxes with holes. Then sowing of seeds, the next step is the seed germination which have many different stages. Like first there is a formation of primary root, then cotyledonary forms, cotyledonary leaves, then now new plants is formed. There is a, you can see the developed seedling has a primary root and there is a cotyledons and this is the new seedling plants. These seedlings now can be transferred to the pot. Now the growing seedlings which we have grown by the sowing of seeds can be transported to the next pot. This the pot having the seedling and which has a different soil for the. This pot has growing medium which supports the growth of seedlings. Then after some times repotting is required because when plant attain a particular growth stage, then we have to repot it. Repotting is the shifting of plant into new big container because now plant become the more have a more growth, then it requires new pot. There are the several methods of sowing of the seeds which are broadcasting, dibbing and the other one are the miscellaneous methods. First is broadcasting. In this method, the seeds are scattered freely in well-prepared soil for cultivation. The seeds only need ranking if they are dipping sown or covered by soil. Nursery thinning of the seedling is done by keeping a specific distance. The example of this kind of sowing is isabgol, linseed and sesame seeds. The next one is the dibbing. When the seeds of average size and weight are available, they are sown by placing in holes. Number of seeds to be put in holes vary from 3 to 5 depending upon their vitality. Then in the miscellaneous methods, many a times the seeds are sown in nursery beds. The seedling thus produced are transplanted to farms for further growth, such as in cinchona, cardamom, clove are sown by the miscellaneous methods in nursery beds. Then there is a seed storage, because we can store seeds for longer period of time, and there is a condition for the storage of seeds. The optimal condition for seed storage is at low temperature, that is 0 to 32 degree Fahrenheit, and in low humidity, that is less than 10%. Then ideally storage conditions are 32 to 50 degree Fahrenheit, while 50 to 65 percentage of relative humidity. And for the longevity of the seeds, there is a different varieties showing different seeds longevity. Most annual plants last for 1 to 2 years. Woody plants, they may survive for 5 to 20 years. Lotus seeds known to last over 1000 years. The permanent storage at cryogenic temperature at 190 degrees centigrade, we can store seeds for a very longer period of time, and this is a method for today which is used for the seed storage, that is known as the cryogenic temperature or cryo storage of seeds. In this image, there is a, you can see seed stuck in mud over 1000 years and germinated well. These are the seeds of lotus, which is known as the Nerumbo nucifera. Then the advantages of sexual propagations are, this is very simple and easy method of propagation. Some species of trees, ornamental animals and vegetable which cannot be propagated by asexual means are propagated by sexual propagation methods. New variety of crops are developed only by sexual method of propagation. Root stocks for budding and grafting can be raised by this method. The plant propagated by these methods are long-lived and resistant to water stress. Transmission of viruses can be prevented by sexual method. Seed can be transported and stored for longer time for propagation. There are also some disadvantages of sexual propagation, like characteristics of seedling propagated by these methods are not genetically true to type to that of their mother plants. Plants propagated by sexual method requires long period for fruiting. Plants grow very high, so they are difficult for intercultural practices like spraying, harvesting, etc. The plants which no seeds cannot be propagated by these methods. Like in case of banana, fig, jasmine, rose, etc. They don't be propagated by this method because they did not have seeds. Now the next type of propagation method is sexual propagation methods. A sexual propagation method of plants can also be called vegetative propagation because it involves the use of vegetative parts of plants like leaves, stem, roots or modified organs. It's the best method to use clone your plants, which means to produce plants identical to their parents. It involves method like cutting, division, layering, grafting, budding and tissue culture techniques. These techniques are commonly exploited mainly to produce horticulture plants. A genetically identical assemblage of individual produced from a plant entirely by vegetative means are called cloned, that is well code, that is by Hartman and Kester. Asexual propagation of plants can also be called vegetative propagation because it involves the use of vegetative parts of plants like leaves, stem, roots or modified organs. It's the best method to use to clone your plants, which means to produce plants identical to their parents. Here is the benefits of clonal propagation. Some plant produced few, if any, viable seeds. Clonal, clonal progeny are highly. Here are the benefits of clonal propagation. Some plant produced only few viable seeds, so they can be propagated by this method. Clonal progeny are highly uniform in all characters. Outcrossing plant produce highly variable progeny. So this method is used for producing highly uniform one. Plant may have a extended juvenile period. Cloning allows for combining genotype in one plant. Seed may have a lengthy and complex dormancies. So these are the benefits over clonal propagation methods. The methods of external reproduction involves cutting, layering, divisions, grafting and budding, and by specialized structures like runners, bulbs, stolon, combs, offset, suckers, and the last one is the by micropropagation. Now starting from the cutting. Cutting involves removing a piece from the parent plant and that piece then regrown the lost part or tissues. New plant can be grown from part of plant because each living plant cell contains the ability to duplicate all plant parts and functionals, which is the quality of a plant cell, and that is this characteristic is called totipotency. Some plant will reproduce readily from cuttings and other take considerable amount of time and care. This cutting this method of cutting of vegetative parts of plants and then planting it again to regenerate the whole plant. It is further divided into three types and named after the plant part being detached or cut. Like the first one is root, stem or leaf cutting, and cutting also defined by the condition of growth like softwood, semi-hardwood and hardwood. The technique is also characterized based on the type of stem the parent plant has, such as herbaceous cutting for herbaceous plant. This plant has a softwood cuttings for evergreen shrubs or conifers and hardwood cuttings for deciduous and evergreen shrubs. For cutting, we have to select the stock plants, and stock plants are the parent plants, must be in excellent health and disease free. Herbaceous cuttings are those taken from non-woody plants such as perennials and house plants. Softwood cuttings are pieces of new growth taken from woody stock plants and must be taken before the new growth starts to harden. Hardwood cutting are taken from tissue which have become woody. Other forms of cuttings are leaf cutting and root cutting. Some plants produce few viable seeds. Clonal progeny are highly uniform in all characters. Outcrossing plant produce highly variable progeny. Plant may have an extended juvenile period. Cloning allows for combining genotype in one plant. Seed may have a lengthy and complex dormancies. Now, in the cutting, starting from the root cutting are usually taken from 2 to 3-year-old plant during their dormant season when they have a large carbohydrate supply. Root cutting of some species produce new shoots which then from their own root system, while root cutting of other plants develop root systems before producing new shoots. For root cutting, take cuttings from newer root growth, making cutting of 1 to 6 inches long from root that are 1 by 8 to 1 by 2 inch in diameter, as we can see in this particular image. Cutting should be taken during the dormant season when the roots have large carbohydrate supplies. Cut the other end on a slant. This allows you to remember which end is top and which is the bottom. Store cutting from dormant roots for 3 weeks in moist rooting medium at 40° Fahrenheit. Then remove from storage and plant upright in the growing media. If root cuttings are taken during active growth, skip the storage period and place cutting directly in the rooting medium. For smaller plants, take 1 to 2 inch sections and place cutting horizontally a half inch below the surface of the rooting medium. Species that are propagated by this method include wisteria, bayberry, yucca, oak leaf, hydrangea, hibiscus, and species of rus, caria, and malus genera. The conditions required for root cuttings are: hardwood and root cutting require well-drained medium but little moisture control, while leafy cutting requires high humidity to prevent excessive or dehydration. Intermittent mist system, medium into which cutting are struck must be disease-free and well-drained and light. Oxygen application, now standard treatment. The next one is the stem cutting. Numerous plant species are propagated by stem cuttings. Some can be taken at any time of the year, but stem cuttings of many woody plants may be taken in fall or in the dormant seasons. Stem cuttings are further 3 types: softwood or herbaceous, semi-hard, and hardwood. Starting from the softwood cutting, Starting from the softwood cutting may gain Starting from the softwood cutting may again be separated into 2 distinct categories: those taken from herbaceous plants such as carnation and chrysanthemum, coleus, dahlias, delphiniums, petunia, etc., and unripened tip of woody plants such as most of the ornamental shrubs and some trees. Softwood cutting are taken from below a node and the bottom leaves are removed before planting. Late spring and early summer are the best time for success with this method. Make a diagonal cut. The larger diagonal cut gives more area to develop roots. Keep cutting in water before moving into the rooting medium. Make cutting 2 to 10 inches long and make cut slightly before a leaf node. And the next is semi-hardwood cutting. The portion of the stem which have passed the softwood stage but are not yet mature are referred to as the semi-hardwood cutting. Semi-hardwood cuttings are used and the bottom leaves are removed, like in case of jasmine, cleodendron, rhododendron, and in croton plants. The last type of stem cutting is hardwood cutting. These are cuttings of shrubs and trees taken from mature current year's growth. The length of cutting varies with the type of plants and weather condition. One principle of landscaping and gardening. These are cuttings of shrubs and trees taken from mature current year growth. The length of cutting varies with the type of plant and weather condition. 1 meter to 1.5 meter long hardwood cutting in some trees and shrubs. Like example, Ficus bengalensis, Cithaxylon, Glyceridia, and species of Erythriana when planted down in the open root easily. Generally, hardwood cuttings are 50 to 30 cm long, as we can see in these images. The examples of hardwood cuttings are Ficus bengalensis, Citharizolon, Glyceridia, maculata, and species of Erythriana. When planted down in the open, they roots easily. Generally, hardwood cuttings are 15 to 30 centimeter long, or it may be, as we can see in these images, there is a length of 15 to 20 centimeter taken for the hardwood cuttings. In this image, we can see the fig which is vegetatively propagated by the stem cutting, and this is the examples of a hardwood cutting. As we can see, there is a length of approximately 15 to 30 to 20 centimeter has been taken for the propagation of the fig plant. Then depending upon the types of stem cutting, there is a different plants like herbaceous and non-woody herbaceous plant which have a softwood stem cutting are the example. This slide showing the examples of stem cuttings like for the herbaceous and non-woody herbaceous plant like basil, dill, mint, sweet potato and kangkong. For the softwood, soft succulent new growth of woody plant like in case of hibiscus, mulberry, plumeria, and semi-hardwood, that is the partially mature wood, also can be taken for the hibiscus, citrus, guava, coffee and mulberry. And for the hardwood or dormant mature stems, like we can take mulberry, pomegranate, Spanish plum, etc. Lastly, in the cutting is the leaf cutting. In this method, a leaf blade or leaf with petiole is used to propagate new plants. Choose a healthy leaf from a vigorously growing plant, cutting it to close to the stem with a sharp disinfected razor or knife. Trim off 1 to 4 of the leaf and dip into the rooting hormone if desired, and insert the leaf into rooting medium so that 1/3 of the leaf is below the surface. Trim off 1 of the 4 of the leaf and dip into rooting hormone if desired, and insert the leaf into rooting medium so that 1/3 of the leaf is below the surface. One of the many new small plants from at the base of the leaf. With the leaf cuttings, the original leaf is not a part of new plant and is usually discarded. Plants that can be propagated using leaf cutting include kalanchoe and bignonias. This image showing the method of leaf cutting. As we can see, the leaf here pitted in the pot. Here we can see the rooting as arises from the leaves, and now this can be replanted into the pot mixture. Here we can see in the plant mother-in-law tongue. Here we can see in the plant mother-in-law tongue, there is a propagation which is by the leaf cutting. Here we have cutted the different sections of leaf. We can now these sections can be propagated by the new planting material. Here are the this slide showing the different examples of cutting system. Like for the leaf, we can use the mother-in-law tongue and kalanchoe plant for this type of propagation methods. For root cutting, we can in the plants bread druft, guava, citrus, pomegranate, we can use root cutting for the propagation. And in plants like sweet potato, mulberry, we can use stem cutting for the propagation. Here are the some advantages and disadvantages of cuttings. Advantages are plant will be true to type. It is an identical clone of the parent plant, mature faster and produces flower and fruits sooner. And the disadvantages of this particular plant are there will be no taproot, no genetic diversity. Cuttings are genetically the same plant, so pest and diseases infestation can spread fast. It's possible to lose the entire crop by if they are grown by the methods of cutting. That's all for the this class. In next I will discuss the another other. That's all for today's class. Next I will discuss the other methods of sexual propagation. That's That's all for the today's class. Next I will discuss the another methods of asexual propagation. That's all for today.